evening to you. My name's Wayne. I am the Lone Cybertronian. Thank you for joining me for this evening's review. So, continuing on with the Combiner Wars, I said I was going to continue with Sky Rain's limbs. So today we're starting off with Wheeljack, who is a repaint and retool of the Sunstreaker / Breakdown mould. And I think this may actually be my favourite use of the mould, despite the colours. The details that they added for the vehicle mode just make this awesome, and there's one particular feature that I like about this thing. But we'll show that in the review. So enough of my waffling, let's have a little look at the dude. Okay, here we go. So here's the Brainiac himself. So quite clearly Wheeljack. As I said, I think this is the third mould reuse that I own. I know there are more in some of the exclusive sets, like the Megatronia. Yeah, I think there's one of these in that set, but this is only the third one that I personally own myself. I mean, look at the head. That's clearly Wheeljack. But straight away you look at him and something doesn't look right, and it's the colouring really. For a start off, they've used this same kind of almost dirty, washed out white, like almost a soap style white for him rather than the pure brilliant white. Same kind of thing that they did with Apeface in Siege, and it just doesn't look right. It looks strange for him. He should be a lot lighter. So his original colour doesn't help him from the off, but then you look at him and it's like he's definitely too white. There's too much white on him. They could have done with adding some more paint apps, I'll be honest. Definitely a black visor there would have definitely added a lot to him. Obviously you've got the numbers on the side there and the green on the sides of the arms. Maybe some colour for the inner arms perhaps, or something like that. Probably asking for a bit much, but there is a lot of white. But overall, it's definitely not a bad representation of Wheeljack, one that I don't mind at all. He does have blue eyes in that face as well, not like the original one which just had the black visor. And he does have a little bit of green and red down on his legs. Posability is the same as always, so plenty of movement going on. He's got a waist swivel. But he's got the same problem as the Breakdown mould, that the thighs here tend to slip out of place quite easily, and they just tend to seesaw quite a lot. But there's something about this figure that really charms me, and I don't know what it is. But there's one thing I really like to do with him. Moving on to his accessories here. So obviously he's got the combiner piece, as they all do. And what you can do with this is, because it's doubles a Sunstreak, you can plug it into the back. Let's see if I can raise that camera a little bit. Yeah. So it plugs into the back like that, to give Sunstreaker his twin exhausts over his back. But what you can do with Wheeljack, I don't know if this was in instructions anyway, is you can lift it up and snap that on the back up there so it holds in place. And then you've got something that represents like a massive cannon. Now, the original G1 Wheeljack toy had a pair of huge black rocket launchers attached to his shoulders, and for me, that does a reasonable job of representing something a little bit similar. Alright, it's not the black launchers and it's not his normal shoulder cannon, but it does give him something kind of cool that's actually very trademark him. And I think a lot of the guys in this line have that. Trailbreaker especially has something which I'll mention in his review at the time, obviously, but it's got something that really changes the mould to fit him, even though the mould was initially someone else. So he's got the gunblade, same as Sunstreaker and Breakdown. I like deploying it as a rifle with Wheeljack. He's not really a close combatter. No wrenches or anything, but that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I am totally fine with that version of Wheeljack. And I don't know, I think adding the weaponry adds a bit more colour, because obviously it adds a bit more, I know it's black and silver, but it just seems to add something. It seems to distract? Seems to detract you a little bit, distract from the white a little bit, so having the weapons on actually really adds something. I wish you could see the guns a bit better, but Omega Supreme's legs are colour blocking But yeah, I do actually really like this Wheeljack, and as it stands, this is the only Wheeljack figure that I have, I think. I don't have G1, I don't have the Generations one anymore, and I haven't got the Siege one, sorry, Earthrise one, because I bought this one, so I haven't bothered upgrading, simply because I like this one. As I say, it's got a weird charm, and I wish I knew what it was. But yeah, so that's the robot mode. It's not the best representation of Wheeljack, but it clearly that's who it is. But let's have a little look at what the vehicle mode's got to say. Well, I don't know what the vehicle mode is saying, but it's damn loud, whatever it is. Look at the state of this thing. So this is where the real retool comes in, compared to Breakdown and Sunstreaker, looking a lot more like G1 Wheeljack. You've got the green and the red colour scheme coming in, and the black visor, the black spoiler. Everything looking a lot more colourful and a lot less white. I'm glad it distracts from that kind of washed out white as well, which is good. You've got the body kit on the front as well, giving you that it's Lancia Stratos, I think it is, that he turns into. He's got the spoilers kind of added as well, and fits nicely into these two sections here. That's a glorious looking vehicle mode, and one of the reasons why I like this version so much, because the alt mode looks absolutely killer in my opinion. Again, probably not as good as previous ones, but for me that's an awesome looking vehicle mode, and it's immediately identifiable as Wheeljack as well. So rolls quite nicely, which is always pleasing. Can't see it too well on my laptop, but then that's nothing new. Not nothing new, dear me. Anyway, so the accessories attach in the same way as they do with Breakdown and Sunstreaker. So let me just get this attached. And as before, I really like the way this works. So the thumb here, there you go. It's got a little tab on it, and there's a little hole right there, which it won't focus on, but right there in the spoiler there's a little slot. So tab into slot, and fingers and toes crossed, and then you just fold the gun forward, and it just plugs in, and it plugs into two little tabs on the roof and sits there quite nicely, looking like a massive engine, which is great. And then, as before, we've got the little slot there next to the number, and you can just take the tab on top of the gun and just slide it in there, point it backwards or forwards or whichever way you want it to go. But yeah, I really like this vehicle mode, as you can probably tell. I'm not big into cars, really, generally speaking, but there's just something about this that really ticks my boxes. Really very impressive looking vehicle mode. For a combiner anyway, as I say, I mean, the thing is with this figure, you've got to remember that it's got 4 modes, so to have a vehicle mode that looks as sharp as that, and at the same time, you know, the robot mode, while slightly limited, considering what it does, it's a pretty good figure. And the thing with Skyrain is, as I said, a lot of this set really tickles me. So that's why he's my favourite combiner, and also because you don't actually see him very much, so he's a bit of a rarity. But yeah, that's my quick review of Combiner Wars Wheeljack. Why are you saying it like that? It sounds weird. Hope you've enjoyed this, and hope you found it somewhat informative. I don't know if anyone appreciated the cannon over the head kind of thing, but just something that I spotted. Don't know whether that was in the instructions somewhere. If it was, I missed it. But thanks for joining me. As I say, we will do the entire team, including Wreckgar was released as well, and can be added onto Skyrain as a power pack on the back. So I'll be doing him as well, as I haven't managed to get my hands on Override yet. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you on the next one.